Coach Erika in the house.
What's up?
Finally got you up here.
You finally got me, man. It's like, oh gosh, I just know it's coming.
Like, how long have you been in Los Angeles?
Since 2012.
2012?
Yeah, from Colorado.
From Colorado.
Little farm, nowhere.
How many people live in that town?
Oh, I don't even know, actually. More than you'd think.
There's more now, right?
There's more now.
I was there for the wedding.
Yes. Yeah,
and
in August.
There's lots of new homes everywhere.
Yeah. They're just, every time I go home, I don't recognize it. I'm like driving, just like, whoa, man, it's just developing
it's
like
still,
crazy.
Still a lot of farms and
well, where I live, you go out and then turns dirt road and then.
When you were, it's dirt roads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you grew up, how many people do you remember?
I don't. But I lived out in the country and then I not moved into the city, but I went to school in the city.
Right.
And, my graduating class was like 300 people. So it wasn't too small, but, out where I lived.
It's like all the community. How far was the high school or how far was
For me, it was it was like 45 minutes. 50 minutes to get to school in the morning. Yeah. So we always got up way before the sun, and then we had like animals and stuff to take care of, like chickens and goats and. Take care of all that before you go to school. So the 45-minute drive to school.
So it's a big change, huh? Living in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I remember coming here and like the first thing was I got a car because it was hard to get around without a car, and then driving, because for me it was like one freeway and it was just like one way each direction, and then coming to LA it was like
no traffic,
not even
a lot of cars,
not a lot of cars, and then you come here and it was like there's just like, wait, this freeway goes to this freeway, and then you take the wrong exit and you're just somewhere completely different. So I think for me, driving around and the amount of people, and it was so different.
How is the culture different here than Colorado? I can't even say Colorado. It's like kind of like small town Colorado in a way, right?
Yeah. I think what was the biggest difference was like the people. Everybody's like on the go here. Everybody's like in their little bubble and their goals, and they're all trying to create something, and for themselves, not in like a bad way, but in Colorado, it's very much, we grew up knowing all of our neighbors, and it was like, just like how you'd kind of picture like, oh, go to the neighbors for a cup of sugar or eggs. Like that was happening a lot. And I remember growing up, my dad driving and he has his hand on the steering wheel. And then every time you pass a car, you lift the 4 fingers. It was like a wave.
Yeah.
So here in LA, it was different for me because everyone was kind of like on their path towards what they were trying to accomplish, which made it difficult for me because it was hard for me to feel like I was creating friends, which is actually why I started jiu-jitsu, was to find some sort of community. But yeah, that was the biggest difference, is the hustle and everyone's going and no one has not that they don't have time to slow down.
It's different though.
But
different.
It's
10 million people, but everybody's kind of disconnected, right?
Yeah, super disconnected. It's hard to find like a community, I think. And I feel like to find that community, you have to go outside of yourself in a way and really like search for it. Really be like, okay, I'm feeling lonely. I feel like I need some sort of hobby. I got to go out and find it. It's not as easily to find that community as it was in Colorado. Everyone's like, hey, we're getting together on Friday. Come over. And there's 20 people there. I feel like, it's just different in that way. The sense of community is, you got to go out and look for it.
That's how you ended up on the mat with jiu-jitsu.
That's how I ended up on the mat with jiu-jitsu.
What brought you to Los Angeles?
Originally, I was dancing. So I grew up dancing my whole life. It's all I ever did, all I ever knew. And my instructor would bring us out here in the summer. And we would train down in Hollywood at this place called the Edge Performing Arts Center. And that's what introduced me to Los Angeles back in high school. And so I had my mind set on doing this it was a program through the Edge Performing Arts Center. It was called their scholarship program. I had my heart set on it all through high school. It's all I trained for. Well, I came out here right after high school and I auditioned and I didn't make it. And my dad was like, well, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to sit here and keep working for the YMCA and working for your studio, or you're going to go out there and just go out there because that was always your plan. So I went home and packed my stuff and I moved back out here and I lived on someone's couch for a while until that I had met at the Edge. And then I ended up moving in with somebody and I was trying to dance for a while. And it was just like, man,
so you kept trying out?
Yeah, I kept trying out and I kept just auditioning and I was working retail on the side, and then got introduced to personal training. So I was doing more retail, more personal training, trying to dance.
How'd you get involved with how did that happen?
The personal training?
Yeah.
I actually lived right up the street from a personal training gym.
Okay.
And I was just kind of walking around, and, I was auditioning, and they were telling me, like, oh, you need to, like, kind of slim down. You need to slim down. And I was like, oh, okay. So I walked into this personal training gym saying, hey, I'm a dancer. These people from the auditions, I'm making it down to these little groups, but then they're telling me I need to slim down. So I went into this personal training gym, and I liked it.
The results, right?
Yeah, results. Personal training in Sherman Oaks, and that's where I lived at the time.
Leo Franco?
Yes, Leo Franco. He got me on my feet for sure, because I was doing retail, really struggling, got to the point where I couldn't even ride my car. I couldn't afford it, so I had a backpack, and I got a $40 junker bike.
Damn.
And I would ride my bike to Trader Joe's, fill my backpack up with food, and I was really struggling. And he was kind of the one that was like, look, like, if you quit your job at Sports Authority, you can work here, and I'll make sure you're all right. And I did. I quit and got started in the personal training and kind of built up from there. And I think just because, like, he kind of took me in, I started working, and I started getting a lot of clients, started making a lot of money. I was still dancing, still kind of auditioning, but it was kind of a new life for me, because all I had ever known was dancing. And so it was my first time.
Open up your doors to
open
coaching.
Up my doors to coaching,
people.
and I just kind of started loving that lifestyle of, wow, like, I guess I love to dance, but when you try to pursue it so hard as like a career, it changed it for me in a way. I was like, I still love to dance, but it was like, is this the way I want to make money? And
they're like, you need to be slimmer, you need to do this,
you need to be slimmer, you need to be that.
Changing like who you are.
Oh, we don't want you because you're not blonde, or whatever it was. Like I have such an appreciation for the people in that industry, because it is so incredibly difficult. I mean, I feel like every industry is difficult, but to pursue like dancing it's rough. It's tough,
Competition's heavy.
Yeah, for sure. And so the personal training really opened me up to being independent, and it was, okay, I'm making money. I'm not having to walk everywhere. I'm like, okay, do I have $14 to spend on groceries this week? Like, oh, no, I'm making more money now. Like, I can eat better. I can live a little bit better lifestyle. But then it was still that community I was missing. It was like, it was just work. And so my mom and dad were like, you need a hobby. Go find a hobby. And my dad was like, you're just turned 19, living in LA by yourself. Maybe you should learn how to defend yourself. And then I researched it and found jiu-jitsu. And
one thing led to another. Did you know about jiu-jitsu before you did it?
I didn't even know what it was. And it was Leo, who he used to train Homolo Barral and like some of the other black belts at his gym. He was their personal trainer. And when I told him, I'm looking for a hobby, and my dad said, some sort of self-defense. And originally I never done any sort of martial art as a kid. Nothing. It was only dancing. So it was like, martial arts, boxing maybe.
Yeah.
And Leo was like, man, talk to this guy. And when he says this guy, Homolo, I had no idea like who that was. And I had and he's like, oh, big Brazilian guy, like, oh, just try jiu-jitsu. And he had another black belt with him who had a smaller school that they had just started in Mission Hills.
Okay.
He's like, come in and try a class. I had no idea what to expect. I come in like some workout clothes, and they like give me a gi, and I'm like, what is this? Like, what do I? And I'm wearing this for class. They're like, yeah, come on in. So it wasn't until my first class I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know it wasn't striking. I didn't know it was on the ground. I didn't know it was arm bars and stuff.
So what happened in that first class?
The first class, the first technique I ever learned was a headlock takedown. I remember the coach pulling out like this big blue mat, and he's like, so, jiu-jitsu matches, like when we, these guys over here getting ready for a tournament, so they're going to start from standing. And it was a really small lunch class, and I was the only girl in there. And so the coach kind of pulled me aside, and he just had me do a headlock takedown on him over and over and over again. And I was like, man, this is kind of fun. I like this. This is different. This is cool. And then he taught me a scissor sweep, and I picked it up really quickly. And I think it was from the dancing. I related jiu-jitsu very much to dancing in the sense of
your body awareness is really strong.
And it felt like I turned all the movements into like steps, like choreography. So I like pieced them together like choreography, and it was like I had to for a really good trial class. And then I came back and he said, you know what, try it for a week. Because jiu-jitsu, it's not for everybody. It's difficult. And I came for that whole week, every day at lunch class. And I was like, I'm doing this. This is so fun. I fell in love with it from the first class. And then just transformed my life, really.
Got married
to a jiu-jitsu guy. Your boy. Yeah. So I trained at that first school for like a year. And then I got introduced to your school, and I wasn't a blue belt yet. And I came over here, and I was trying some classes, and I was like, man, I like it here. I really like it here. And I was really having that, like, confliction of, like, oh, do I leave my school? Like, I did that in dancing once where I went from one academy to the next, and it was really, really difficult. That wasn't easy. And so it took me a while. I ended up getting my blue belt, and then I was like, oh, gosh, now it feels even more difficult to leave. But something told me, like, this legacy was where I needed to go. I needed to go there. I was going to grow if I went there. And so I sat my old professors and coaches down and had a really great conversation with them. And I came over here. And then, that's when I met Josiah.
Did the right way, yeah.
I did it the right way for sure, because I did it in dancing. And I remember it was really difficult switching academies. And, they took it pretty good, as good as you can.
Yeah.
I came over here and started training. I felt like I was getting better. And I remember the white belts were just beating the crap out of me here. And I was like, what's going on? And then I didn't realize, like, you had your fundamentals classes and you had your advanced classes, and I was doing both, trying to catch up. And I remember Josiah was someone who was really helping me out. He was now my husband. But he was really, really, like, soft and kind to me. And he made that initial switch of changing gyms, like, a lot easier because he was just so kind to me and really helped me. And remember, I used to spider sweep him. I used to get all frustrated, and I loved going with him because I knew I could get him on that. But yeah, then here we are, like 4 or 5 years later, and you came to our wedding. That's
nice. How is it being, I guess, a female? I mean, I met your cousin at the wedding, and we hung out a lot, and we talked, and I guess he told me that you've always been like a tomboy.
Yeah.
And, like, super competitive.
Yeah.
And, you guys grew up together, and you guys are always kind of really competitive with each other.
Yeah.
So maybe you're not like the average kind of female.
Yeah, I grew up with all the boys. So my cousin, Josh, Daniel, Ben, Tommy, Jordan, and I was the youngest. My sister wasn't born. I'm 9 years older than my sister. So it was me and all the boys, and, we lived on the farm. My mom and dad were really into dirt bikes. So, I got my first dirt bike when I was like 8. So it was always dirt bikes, trying to keep up with the boys. My cousin Daniel was super into Chuck Norris, Walker, Texas Ranger. And so he would just beat me up all the time.
One of my first classes at the Walker, Texas Ranger studio.
Really?
In Dallas, Texas.
Oh, that's
Carlos Machado was there at the time.
Oh, that's so cool.
And
we would love to know that.
Yeah, and his studio was inside of that, inside of the set, pretty much.
Oh,
so you had to walk through the set because he trained Chuck Norris at the time. Yeah, it was pretty cool. That was back in
over to Texas.
Yeah, in the 90s. I'm sure, yeah. Then, of course, he moved out. But it was cool at the beginning when he first getting going.
Yeah.
And so all the students had to walk through the whole set. That's crazy,
awesome.
Right?
Yeah. It's
different. It was different
cool.
back then.
Chuck Norris, I wonder what he's doing now. But, yeah, so I grew up, that tomboy. My dad was a mechanic and always in the garage on the weekends with my dad and riding dirt bikes in our we had 6 acres, or we have 6 acres. So riding the dirt bikes, playing with the boys. And so it was very much tomboy. And then I don't know how I got growing up like that and then getting into dancing. But I think the dancing really brought out like the more feminine side of me, because even when I was right before dancing, I had like a boy haircut, and my grandpa was, you had a long conversation with my grandpa at the wedding. He's like an old military firefighter, rough guy.
Yeah.
And he used to take us all to the Army surplus store, and I would wear Army fatigues to school. I was like all about it. And so I think dancing was great for me because it brought out the more feminine side of me. So if, like, I had to kind of grow my hair out and kind of be able to put it in a bun like everybody else. And, but I always had that really tough
interesting.
Tough mentality.
Because Sarah and I are, my daughter, you coached.
Yeah.
You coach her. she does, drill team, kind of those kinds of things. And I feel like she's she's feminine, but yet she has a side of her that she likes to bring it,
Yeah. And I love that. And so that was something that, I love my upbringing, because when I came into jiu-jitsu, it was like, all right, I'm looking around. I'm the only girl right now on the mat. And I love that the sport is growing. I love now at Legacy, like I come to class, like last Tuesday night, we had 10 girls on the mat. And it was just, it like made me so happy. I'm so grateful to have like these amazing women to train with now. But when I started, it was a lot of times I was the only girl like coming into the lunch classes. And it's not easy. It's intimidating. It can be intimidating, because, I'm rolling with like these big guys all the time, and you start to question, like I would question myself.
Some guys can be, sometimes they're not good partners. Well, hopefully it gets changed after the first time, but it can happen, right?
Yeah, it can happen, and it did happen.
Cool.
I remember rolling with some pretty rough guys, and remember leaving, crying, and it was kind of like, man, like what do I do in this situation?
Because they don't want to get beat by a girl.
Yeah, like you can be rolling with them, and then I would, let's say, submit them, and then I was like, they come at you all hard, or they like mount you, and they're like pinning you down and not letting you really work or move, and it could be frustrating. But I think it was nice to know that I could go to you, and I went to you and just said, hey, you know what, like, what do you think? And I would ask you, like, I'm rolling with so and so, and they're like really, really rough, and you would always like look out for me. And I think that's important, like coming from like our coaches and our professors is, I think the culture, like women should be able to feel comfortable going to their coaches and going to their professors and making sure that they feel like taken care of, because it's, it's amazing being a woman on the mat, but it does have its challenges, so I think it's important that the culture of your school should be strong enough and comfortable enough that you do feel safe space going to your coaches and your professors.
Well, thank you for all that you do for our female program and for our women here, our girls, my girl, my own daughter. Yes. So I appreciate everything you do every single day.
Thank you. I love it. I love this place. It's like home. It is my home.
It was literally.
It literally was my home. Like Josiah and I lived at the academy for like 2 years. It was literally my home. Going downstairs, training.
Oh my God.
And then coming up, eating, showering, going back down, teaching the kids. Like we literally were here. We would leave on the weekend. What an
experience.
Yeah,
wow.
It was crazy.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. It was like just.
You're like, Dad, Mom, I'm living upstairs at the gym, and your mom would come and visit.
She's like, oh, like, who's yelling downstairs? I'm like, oh, that's Andy. That's Muay Thai class. She's like, didn't you just say like good night to that person? And then you walk upstairs and you still hear everything. And, we lived that like true gym lifestyle where you kind
of fighter lifestyle in a way.
Yes, fighter lifestyle. You're just up here, and I remember it'd be so loud, like at night. I'd be getting my jammies, like make my tea, and I'll just walk downstairs and watch the 8:30 fundamentals class. And I'm like, what are you doing, like in your pajamas? And I'm like,
because you get up pretty early, right?
Yeah,
you always got up pretty early.
Yeah, I'm a super early riser. I like to get up, 5:30. If I don't set an alarm, I'm still waking up 5:30, 6 o'clock. I like to get up. I'm really big into like my morning routine, which would be like having my coffee. I just sit in the quiet, and then I'm like an avid journaler. So I love to write every morning and just kind of journal, and that's like my quiet time. Which when I was living at the gym, that was definitely like a very important time for me, because it was like the only time of my day that was quiet. From right when classes start to like late in the night, it's like people, noise. So I love waking up early and doing my writing and
yeah, I get up early too now.
Yep. You get up early now?
Yeah, super early, like 3 a.m. early.
What?
Yeah.
What do you do at 3 a.m?
Just work. I do some little meditation to get going sometimes, but then work.
Yeah, it's nice.
Because nobody bothers me.
Yeah, nobody bothers you. It's quiet. It's something about being awake and working on things to better yourself when everyone is sleeping.
Yeah, it gets me in a good mindset, and I have to get things done, so
yeah,
that's what I have to do.
Yeah, 3 though. I don't know. I can't do 3.
I have to go to bed like kind of early too, so I get enough sleep.
Yeah.
But I had a Constantine in here.
Oh, nice.
He was a monk.
Yeah.
He was a monk.
I would have never guessed. Well, I could have guessed.
So when he was in a monastery, when he actually joined the monastery, like full time as a teenager, I was like, "What time? Tell me a typical day." And he's like, "I get up at 2:30 in the morning," and then he starts meditating. Starts the stuff at 3 a.m. So I was like, man, if a teenager can do that, I can do that too. Because I was getting up early.
Yeah.
But I needed more time as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You run out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's days
I fluctuate though too. Sometimes like I want to get up at 4,
Yeah.
or 5 even,
Yeah. I mean, I have different, like for me, I'm always up for sure before 6. Because a lot of times, like a couple days a week, I still have like private clients. Like I do like some personal training still. And, if they start at 6, like make sure like I'm up at 4. Because I don't want to miss that quiet time, because it sets my mind for the whole day. On the days that, let's say I do miss it, I feel it. I love being able to sit down and write out my thoughts and just kind of,
early bird gets the worm,
early
right?
bird gets the worm. Yep. Helps me through my whole day, for sure.
How did you transition from being a trainer to jiu-jitsu? How was that process? Because I never told your parents, but I mean, just to be a female and actually, do this for a living, it's not easy.
No.
It's like crazy, when I really think about it, and just having my daughter look up to you, like, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge.
Yeah.
And it's such a big deal.
Yeah. It was a big transition in my life. It was like, I was personal training, like,
because you said you're the only girl on the mat, and then for you to actually, hey, run a class and tell all these guys to, what to do, and for them to listen, and
it definitely wasn't easy, but even when I was a white belt, I remember journaling. Man, I love to teach jiu-jitsu. I love to teach classes, and I think a good way for me to start teaching classes, like, how can I teach as fast as possible? And it would be kids. Like, I think it's harder to teach adults when you're like a lower belt. So I was like, but I bet I could start teaching kids. And I came over here and I was training and I was doing personal training. And then an opportunity came up where Josiah was already teaching kids and he needed some help with some of the classes. And so I asked you, I said, hey, you know what? I actually have the afternoon off. Can I help out with the kids? So it was just Josiah and I helped out with the kids, and I loved it. And I was like, man, I love this. And then you liked it. You're like, wow, this is kind of different, having like a female presence on the mat with the kids. And so it started out like that. And then, we sat down, started growing the program. And then we, hired like Dan and some other people and came in, and it was like all of a sudden.
But there was a period I remember when you kind of didn't believe that you could transition from training to jiu-jitsu. You're like, I don't know if I can, I can do this. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. I didn't know if I could do it because, with the personal training, I was making like pretty good money. Well, actually I was making really good money because I was very busy, and I knew like I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach. I wanted to be on the mat. I loved it. That one time that you let me come in and try, I was like, man, this is awesome. But I knew that there would be like that cut, like financially, and it would take a while for me to kind of build up this new skill of like personal training. Yeah, I'm working with someone, but when you're teaching a class,
it's a different animal.
And when you're teaching a class full of kids and you're trying to teach them how to fight and fight safely, and not only learn a martial art, but you take on this role of you're like helping develop these kids and their characters. It's like a big weight. It's like, man, do I have what it takes to be this kind of a role model for so many different people? And how am I going to pull this off financially? And, you were just like, just do it. Just kind of like, shut up, just do it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Stop the excuses.
Stop the excuses and just do it. Just commit. And I did, and I remember you told me, you're like, it doesn't just have to be classes. You can start getting private lessons, and that's something I didn't even think about. And like, sure enough, here we are now. I think I've been, I don't even know how many years, just booked. And it's so humbling, and it's so grateful, because it's like, we go from being uncertain. Like, I was very uncertain. Like, how can I fill this role? Like, these are big shoes to fill. Like, do I have what it takes, and being the only girl coach on the mat and being surrounded by so many people, it was like, dude, can I do this? And just to kind of, what you said, just do it. Just stop talking about it and just do it.
Do your best, right?
And just do your best, and to see like what it evolves into, and to see how many people like we can help through the sport is amazing. I watch kids come in that are just really struggling with their confidence and their self-esteem, and they're bullied, or they're not doing well in school, or they don't feel very, they just don't feel good, and you come in and you have that ability to change their life. Like, really, doesn't matter how old they are. You come in and I can see it in our Tiny Cranes 2 to 4 year old program. You see a 2-year-old come in who's just like, wow, like going crazy. And then 2 months later, they're standing on the line, they're bowing, they're showing you the mount. Like, you're making a difference in this kid's life and in the parent's life, you know. And then you have the teens and it doesn't matter what age they are, they can benefit from jiu-jitsu.
For sure. Whether
it's with their attitude, whether it's with their confidence, or they find a sport that they love and they want to compete and they want to get better. Like, I just feel like jiu-jitsu's has something to offer for everyone. And I'm really grateful to be in that position where I get to coach that and I get to see that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
There was a story that I can't, that you told me that you were going in early, speaking of the early mornings, to go train somebody, personal train.
Yeah.
And there's a homeless guy.
Oh, yeah.
And
crazy.
And you're like, man, jiu-jitsu, like, it was because of jiu-jitsu. I was able to, like, think straight and to be able to make the right decisions.
That was pretty intense. I didn't actually have to use my jiu-jitsu, thank goodness. We never want to have to do that, but if we need to, we can. But I remember pulling up, it was like 5.
You were able to keep it together.
Yeah, I was able to keep
to make the right decisions, yeah.
And I pulled up, and I was at a parking meter. And it was pitch black. It wasn't even 5:15 in the morning. And I'm sitting there, on my phone doing my calendar. And I just got this weird feeling like someone was
watching
me. So, I look up, and I first look out my passenger side window at the meter, nobody there. And I look directly to my left at my driver's side window, and there's a guy with his face pressed up against my window.
Oh, my God.
Your heart just like sinks, and then he hit my window with his palm. And I just looked at him, and I said, you need to go, and he kind of stood up, like really weird, and he goes around to the front windshield, and he leans all the way over my car, and he puts his hands on my front windshield and just looking at me. And my heart is just going like, okay, just stay calm.
Yeah.
And so I said it again, like, you need to go. Just very stern. And he walked around the car now, sits down right next to my meter. I'm like, oh, come on, just sitting on the ground, just staring at me through my window. I'm like, okay. So I start my car, and I drive, and I turn, and where I was working, we couldn't park in the lot. We could only park on the street. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? This is a special occasion. I'm going to park in the lot. So I go into the lot, and I look in my rearview mirror, and this homeless guy is sprinting at my car. He like followed me into the parking lot, and he's running at my car, and now he's mad, and he starts like with both fists, like banging on my windows, banging on my front window. He starts yanking on my handles, and he starts yelling at me to let him in. And so for me, I'm like, okay, where's my phone? So I grab my phone, but while he was banging on my window, I had my wits about me. This is where I credit jiu-jitsu, is like you're always getting that pressure on the mat. So you
uncomfortable positions, right?
Uncomfortable situations. So I had the wits about me to unbuckle, and I got both feet like up on the seat, my hands up. I'm on my phone. I turn towards the window because I'm like, if this guy just breaks my window and for whatever reason gets my door open, coming in my car, at least I got my feet up, I got my hands up.
I remember what you told me, because the first thing what happened, I don't know if it was the first period time, but you said like you kind of froze up in a way, right? Because you're so shocked, right, that he was there. But you're like, you remember, just like jiu-jitsu, like to breathe. Okay, breathe.
Like, okay, what do I need to do?
Like breathe out. Okay, and then you made your move,
Yep. Yeah, like made my move.
You drove to the parking lot.
Drove to the parking lot, got myself unbuckled, because I don't want to be buckled if this guy's getting in my car. And he got my feet up on the seat, got myself unbuckled, and I called for help, and luckily my Leo was upstairs, and I called him, and I'm like, at this point I was crying, and I'm like, hey, there is a guy. I am right downstairs. He is about to break my windows. And, so then Leo comes running out, like yelling at this guy, and chased him off. And I remember I was shaking, and I'm sitting on my seat, like almost in like a little guard position. He's like, are you okay? And I'm just like, yeah, but, like, gosh, it's not what you expect at 5 a.m, but that's exactly it. You don't expect that kind of stuff. But if you're presented with that kind of situation, like, what are you going to do? Like, you have to be ready for it. Yeah. I wasn't ready for some guy to start banging on my car door at 5 a.m, but it happened. And I feel like because I'm training and I'm in jiu-jitsu and I'm put in uncomfortable positions all the time, and that pressure, and I was able to just stay focused and breathe. And what do I need to do to get out of this?
Yeah.
Just so often what
Yeah,
happens.
I think even for guys, right? Like, just you never know how you're going to react under a crazy, stressful situation. And because we have to face those uncomfortable situations every single day, you know, even forget like sports jiu-jitsu, because there's like, you know, people debate self-defense aspect, the fighting. But just because you have to face those uncomfortable positions, sports jiu-jitsu or not, you know, you're going to be in uncomfortable positions. Yeah. Just because you have to face that, it makes you be able to handle the situations that you know, that are just beyond your control, right?
100%.
Where people can freeze up, or they don't, you know, they don't know how to react, right? Yeah. But you're like, okay, I got this, you know.
Yeah, because fight or flight is real, but I mean, if you have that
fight, flight, freeze, if
you have that training, you know, you can hopefully
it just kicks in,
kicks in and takes over, which I'm really grateful for, because that was super scary.
No, let's why should a female train jiu-jitsu?
Why should a female train jiu-jitsu? Man, it feels endless of all the reasons why. But, you know, I just feel like it's made me so strong, so strong mentally. You know, I remember when I was first starting, I would like take a hit, like an elbow to the eye, and it would hurt so bad. You know, and now like I leave and I have a big bruise on my eye, and I'm like, when did I even get hit? So it's just like, it builds like such a, not just a pain tolerance, but just like a tolerance for so much more.
Character,
like it just builds your character. It makes you stronger. So if you even just set aside the skill that you're getting, you know, like that's just, to me, it's like an added bonus, like the skill, but you have the community, you know, you feel so much more confident, so much more strong. And, jiu-jitsu for a woman, I think is amazing. I think you just come in and you try and you build that community and just keep showing up, and the benefits that you're gonna reap are gonna be more than you would have ever expected. So much more than just being physically stronger or physically skilled. The mental things that you gain, I'm sure it's different for every person, but I've gained so much mental strength through I think going on 6 years now training jiu-jitsu. So much mental strength, and it's helped me as like a person and my character. And, you know, when I start that teaching role, or like, you know, becoming like an upper belt and you're having to help out, like it just helps you as a person, you know, and
going beyond your comfort zone, right? Being in a leadership position in jiu-jitsu and having those roles, those shoes to fill, and then,
you know, and then
you're like, can I do this? And you're like, all right, I'm gonna just breathe and
just gonna go for it, I guess. I don't know what else to do. But yeah, and you know, it's like I tell like the women now in our women's team, like, which really grateful that we have those classes now, Fridays 6:30 and Saturday mornings at 9. You know, the women come in and it's like their first class, and I just like look at them and I just feel so proud of them, because I remember that day. I remember my day being like coming in and getting handed a gi and just like, what is this? And I see it on their faces. You know, we have our office people hand them a gi and they just look at it, you know, and then I just tell them how like proud I am of them. And like, if you stick with this is going to change your life. Like, this is going to make you a stronger person, you know, and it's no doubt you can't do jiu-jitsu and not become a stronger person. Yeah. You know,
I can't help but remember like Sarah had a little mark on her eye, you know, like a little raspberry.
It's like a little blue mark. You know, and ask her, oh, what happened? Was that in your tournament? She's like, yeah, you know, and I'm like, nice.
And then
you
in
know?
Training, But it's just that now she's going to grow up with that, right? Yeah. And, well, she has, but some people that, if you haven't experienced that, even as a guy, right?
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jiu-jitsu changes everybody's life. And it makes everybody stronger. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. Yeah. Everybody. You see I've seen many men come in here, and you look at them over the years, and you're just like, wow, like, I remember you when you were a white belt. I remember you. I always remember people when they just start, you know, and I'm just like, I'm proud of you. Like, look how like strong you are, you know, like, you know, and they always, you know, you talk to people, they're like, yeah, it just helps me in my work, helps me with my family, helps me in my job. And it's crazy because, you know, if you don't do jiu-jitsu, you're like, how could jiu-jitsu help you with your job? You know, but it's like something that it's really hard to explain until you're in it, until you're living it. And then you're just like, wow, you know, this is changing me as a person. It's
reconnecting those neurons and creating those pathways of success, right?
Yep. So just keep showing up every day, and it's something very humbling about coming in and, you know, kind of getting beat up every day, and just, you know, looking at your training. It takes a lot to get beat up. The bell rings, you get on your knees, and you thank your partner, thank them for beating you up. That takes a lot. That takes a lot of from within yourself to let go of whatever emotions you're feeling in that moment from being beat, to thank someone else for putting that kind of pressure on you. And just from doing that day in, day out, that's going to change you. For sure.
For giving you the opportunity, right? To
Yep.
To push yourself to your limits.
100%. And that's what we need to do. Every day is like, there's no end. I don't think that, you know, it's always.
Hopefully it never ends, right?
Hopefully it never ends. And it's just like every day we're just, I think, put on this earth to just 1%. Imagine if we get better 1% every single day. And that's what, you know, this lifestyle gives me the opportunity to do in so many different ways.
You know, you got Tack-fit certified.
I did.
Also, last year.
Yeah, last year.
And I'm curious as to hear your thoughts and your experience, because it was really interesting for me to watch, just to watch the progression, and just you learn a lot about. Like it's a martial art, right? But it's just with yourself. You're not going against somebody else. It's just within yourself. Yeah. So you learn a lot about people's character, I think. Yeah. You know, and it kind of I saw that within you, you know, and I feel like I learned and I got to know you better because of that. Yeah. Like we had 4 people kind of trying out or to get certified, and you're probably at the bottom of this 4.
And I wasn't the only girl too.
Right, where it's much harder because you have to do push-ups and different things, you know. So you're for sure you're at the, you know, you're at a disadvantage. Yeah. Just out of the gate. Yeah. And then but then when it was all said and done, you were the top. Yeah. Because you worked your butt off, and you it's just really, really cool for me to watch. Thank you. Yeah, it's to see you perform and see like who you are as a person. Yeah. Your spirit. Yeah, thank you. Well, I remember going through that whole Tack-fit process, and I remember it was like the 4 of us coming in every Saturday and doing the test, and then I think we did like Tuesdays or Thursdays after jiu-jitsu at noon, and we would go do like motor patterns. And I remember just getting so frustrated, like with the pull planks and with the push-ups, because I remember the first day you're like, you have to do push-ups, and I'm like 8 rounds of push-ups, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and can't go on my knees, and you like have to go like a certain depth on your push-ups, like a hollow body push-up, body push-up, and I was like, oh man, like. Okay. And I remember going home and I was watching like you and Rob and James and Josiah, just like, oh, you guys on your pull planks and your push-ups, like, but at the same time, like I was just way too stubborn. I was like, I mean, that's training. That's the thing. Like a normal, somebody would have just been like, man, like forget it. And I don't know, you know, but like forget this, you know, especially where you started out at, I think where you were at, I think my very first test I took, because we do like the numbers, right? You have to score a 50 to pass, right? And I scored a 29, and I was like, holy, like, okay, like I'm way behind. Like, what do I need to do? How am I going to do this? And, you know, Josiah, he teases me. He calls me the honey badger. He's like, God, you're such a honey badger. Like, can you just, like, you're so stubborn all the time, you know? But I do credit that part of me, that stubbornness, that I was like, no, like, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to get it. And I remember being so sore and just practicing those pull planks. You would make me do endless pull planks, just so many. And I felt like it was just trusting the process, trusting the training, trusting all the work we're doing, because it was even the week before the certification weekend and the test weekend. You guys got sick too, right? Oh yeah, we got the flu, but that was a whole nother story. But I still had never passed. Like, and you and Robert and James and Josiah, you guys were all passing. The whole couple, like, because I was doing the level 2, right? Yeah, and you were doing the level 2, but you guys were doing great. I remember Josiah and James were like constantly hitting their 50, 52, and then you see them going to like 56, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm still like right at 47, 48, you know, and so that self-doubt starts to come, and you were like, just keep doing your motor patterns, like keep practicing, like just keep doing it and just trust, you know. And then it came down to test day, and we had that little, you guys did 7 workouts before. Yeah, we did 7 workouts before. We just came off of the flu, but it was like, you know what, we've dedicated so much time to this. I was like, there's no way I'm leaving here without that cert. I was like, I don't care. I don't care how I feel. Like, that doesn't matter. What matters to me is, like, I've put in this work and I want to pass. I really want it. And I remember I scored a 54. And I remember watching your think I watched you locking out your push-ups, you know.
Yep.
I was like at the 6th round, 7th round, you know, you were sticking them.
Yeah, I was sticking them and just like that.
That's mindset.
You have to go into that mindset where, I was cramping because we had done those 7 workouts,
sure.
and you know your throat is like burning, and you got that side stitch. But I was just your arm starts to shake, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass this stinking test. One, also because I didn't want to have to do it again, but yeah, I wanted to pass, and
You want to do your best.
I wanted to do my best. I wanted to know not for anybody else, not even you or whoever was at the cert, but for me to know that I came from a 29, and if you put in the time and you put in the work and you put in like that resilience, like you believe, like you can do it.
Yeah.
Anybody can. You just gotta make that choice.
Yeah. Like I feel like the Tack-fit, you get the same kind of things that happen in jiu-jitsu or martial arts, I think.
Yeah.
Just those neurons connecting and those you know.
Like you get that fight or flight, that like, oh God, like.
But just the mindset too. Like you have to, if you think you can't, you're not going to do it. If you think you can, and it's only with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Those exercises.
It's all, and that was cool too, because you know you go to jiu-jitsu, you got a partner, you go compete, you got opponents,
sure.
but you go.
There's nobody but you.
There's nobody but you. It's just
in
you
the arena, yeah.
And that number, that 50. It's like it's okay. It's me and a number on a piece of paper, and you got to really dig deep with that mental toughness. And I like it.
It was really cool for me to watch. So
thank you.
Made
really
me
cool
real proud to be a part of that.
Thanks.
Yeah, represent.
Represent.
Well, because you're at the bottom, right? And then you like, boom, you were at the top. I feel
Yeah.
like when it came time.
Thank you.
So it was really cool. It's really special for me to be a part of and see who you really are.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, as a person.
Thank you. Yeah.
So where does that come from?
Oh, you know, I do credit a lot from my parents. My parents are just like that. Like, you know, my dad was just like, oh, that's impossible. Okay, we'll go ahead and do it anyways. You know, that's always been his thing. It's just both my parents. It was never, you know, you don't feel sorry for yourself. You don't feel sorry for yourself. You're not looking out for a handout. You know, that's, you know, because my parents came from nothing. They came from nothing. My dad, you know, grew up with it rough and tough. And, you know, it was either you can choose that path of, you know, creating that victim mindset for yourself, or you can push and create something for yourself. And so I watched my parents struggle. I watched them struggle, and I watched them still stay so positive and optimistic. And even when they didn't, maybe in their heart of hearts, they didn't think things were going to like work out for them, and they didn't think that they were going to succeed, you would have never guessed, you know, because they were just like, no, we're going to do this. We can do it, you know? And they stuck together, and they were really positive. And that's how we were raised, my sister and I, was like, you don't feel sorry for yourself.
Your dad has a business.
Yeah.
What
He owns Black Forest Automotive. It's like a big car, like mechanic dealership.
Oh, okay.
Deal in
a
Colorado.
dealership.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
he does like used cars, and then he fixes cars.
Okay.
And he does like some RV stuff.
Okay.
And like detailing bays, and
Okay.
like he just, it's like a whole automotive package, I guess you could say. But you know, it was a fight for them to get that place, you know. And so, you know, watching them really work for what they've accomplished, and you know, just growing up, like I didn't make certain dance like groups or teams or and it was never like, oh, I'm so sorry you didn't make it. It was like, okay, what are you gonna do so you can make it? And okay, you do like, for one example is I wanted to be on this like acrobatic team, and you had to have a certain list of skills, and I couldn't do like a handful of them. And like a handful of these skills. Like, let's say there's 10 skills. Like, I could only do like maybe 6, and I was missing.
I thought you said a hand pull up.
Oh, a hand pull up. I wish that'd be super cool. But no, like a handful of skills that I wasn't able to do. And you know, I came home and I didn't make it, and I was crying. And you know, my mom, she just looked at me and she's like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, "Well, I didn't make it." She's like, "Okay," and you know, and it was kind of like, you don't love me. Like, you don't care that I didn't make it. She's like, no, it's not that I don't care. It's just like, you're not going to waste your time sitting in front of me wallowing why you didn't make it. My mom's always thinking, used to make me so mad as a kid, but she's like, are we going to have a pity party? And I used to make me so mad as a kid. Like,
I use that line.
Don't tell me I'm having a pity party, you know? And she was like,
pity party.
Pity party. Don't have a self-pity party. Doesn't do anybody good. And so, you know, my parents, like, for example, this team, you know, are you going to have a pity party? Or like, what did you miss? Like, tell me what you can't do. Okay. Well, like I couldn't do this, this, and this. She's like, okay, every day before school, you're going to wake up and one was we had to walk on our hands and we had to be able to like go up some steps on our hands. And she said, every day before you go to school, you have to do handstand push-ups every day. And then, you know, she got me some private lessons because I had to be able to do a no-handed cartwheel. It's called an aerial.
Right.
I had to be able to do that. So she got me, okay, let's work. You know, you help me in the yard. You know, like you were going to help me mow the grass. You're going to help me like scoop the dog poop. You're going to help me trim my trees. And you're going to start saving some money. And we're going to get you some lessons. So she made me work. Like she made me work for it. And she, you know, she bought me the private lessons. And I could do my aerial. And I could walk on my hands. But it was never like, oh, you know, I'm sorry. It was like, okay, well, what are you going to do? And I love my parents for that. Growing up, they used to tell me I have a self-pity party. Or when my dad's big line is, you know, you're having this argument with your kid and your kid's like, I know. And he would say, to know and not to do is not to know. And it used to make me so mad. And now I use that line all the time. And I use that line like, oh, we're not having a pity party. So I really credit my parents. I was blessed to have parents that really pushed me. You know, they were never letting me have that easy victim mentality. It was like, you have a victim mentality, go do it alone in your bedroom and when you're ready to improve, then let's have a chat. You know, so I love them for that. And they're still like that, you know, and that's why I look at them and they're my heroes. They're my role models because I've seen what they've created for themselves. And I'm beyond grateful. I don't even know how to put it into words that they instilled that in my sister and I.
It's awesome. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? Let's see. 5 years and 10 years.
5 years and 10 years. So my dream, as you know, is to have my own school. So I want to have my own school, and I'd love to do it in Colorado. I'd love to when I'm a black belt.
That's what you had told me.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to Philip. He's like, no, they want to stay here. And then I'm like, I thought she was wanting to go to Colorado.
Yeah. No, I told you. I was like, you know, I said, I want to do what you do. I want to have this school that I have something to give to all walks of life. I want, you know, we have the boot camp.
Because your dad was asking me about Tack-fit, and I'm like, oh yeah, Erika's gonna go back and she's gonna do Tack-fit. You're gonna have Tack-fit stuff over there. And I'm like, oh, you got it all figured out. I'm like, well, and then Philip made me question. I thought I was.
Oh, Philip.
I was
Love
like,
you,
what?
Philip. Yeah, no.
You probably misunderstood, right?
Yeah. No, well, we're gonna stay. You know, we're gonna stay here.
Sure.
We have a lot to learn.
Finish business, yeah.
We have a lot to learn. We have a lot to accomplish. You know, 5 years. Like, so, you know, one of my goals is I would love to.
Because Colorado Springs is like it's going crazy.
Man, it's blowing up. It's getting really, really big. Lots of opportunity, and I think I would love to bring like the knowledge. 'Cause I feel like the knowledge is so rich here in Los Angeles. Like we're so lucky for what we have here. And
we're kind of the mecca now of jiu-jitsu in the world.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, there's jiu-jitsu tournament every weekend here. You know, we're in Colorado. They're not there yet, but you know, I want to bring that back. I want to introduce that to like my family and like the communities out there, because those communities are strong and they deserve knowledge like this.
For sure.
You know.
You can help a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's the goal. That's always the goal. It's like, for me, my dad always says, never pursue money. He said, pursue excellence, and money will pursue you. And I feel like a big way of doing that is just by helping people. You know, like being genuine human being and helping other people.
That's it.
And that's why I want to have a school, you know, because I've seen what your school has done for me and my husband and like our friends. I see what it does. And it's like, I want to be in that position. I want to be in a position where I have that opportunity to help people, no matter what it might be, with their jiu-jitsu or their fitness. So 5 years, I'd like to get my black belt. You know, I'm a purple belt now. I'd like to be close to ready to having a school. So I've been saving money for years now, just putting it away, labeled that little Chase account, Future Academy.
Nice.
Just put money away. And but before any of that happens, you know, I want to give my best to being the best athlete I can be. You know, I haven't won like a PANS or Worlds or Europeans or anything like that. And I think right now in this moment, that's my focus, you know, is like coming in and just trying to learn as much as possible, because I would love to win one of those. You know, I know I could do it. It's just about continuing to show up and being consistent. So in my 5-year plan, like gosh darn it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get one of those.
I'd love to see that too.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. And I'd like to open a school and just like start helping people and learning. And it's always about learning, I think. I think, you know, people are like, oh, I can't wait to retire. But no, there's no retiring. Yeah. You never retire. Learning is a lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure.
Forever. So 5 years.
You die when you stop learning and stop working. And
100%. Yeah, you see people deteriorate once they stop being curious and stop learning and stop growing, you know. Like my grandma called me the other day, never exercised. She's always been yard work, very, very active, but never fitness. And she called me on her birthday. And she's like, guess what I did? I'm like, what'd you do? She's like, I joined the Silver Sneakers group. You know, she's like, I'm doing Silver Sneakers classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but Wednesdays are yoga. And I was so proud of her.
Yeah.
You know, for just, that's another one. My grandma, just looking up to her, just, you know, she's.
You have some special people.
Very blessed to have those people.
Influential people.
Yeah, for sure. And
in your family. Grandma, grandpa, parents,
aunts, uncles,
all beasts,
cousins. Yeah, they're all just
cousins
at it. Yeah. You know, and I love that. But so 5 years, I would like to, you know, win some titles, just really be learning, growing, just really trying to do my best every day. Get my black belt. I'd like to open a school. 10 years, I just want to be teaching. I just love to teach. I love to be on the mat. I feel like that's like if God were to give me a gift, it would be to teach.
It's interesting how things happen, huh? You went down you thought you wanted to be dancing, and then you're like, after you're doing jiu-jitsu and doing the training things, like, you know what? I want to do something else.
Yeah.
Right? Is that?
Yeah, for sure. And
obviously it's like to switch that, to turn that off.
Yeah. And it's like not even turning it off. It was almost like trusting. Trusting, because, you know, you've done something. For me, it was dancing. I did dance for so long. Right. You start to question, like, well, man, I put so much of my life into this. Like, is this really what I need to do? But it's about trusting that process and trusting, like, the doors that are opened for you in your life. And, like, if they bring you joy and they bring you happiness, like, follow them. Even if you're unsure and you're like, you know, it might not be where you want to be financially at that moment, but like always look long term. Like, what could this do for you? What's the
saying your dad says?
What? Never pursue money. Pursue excellence, and money will pursue you. Yeah. Live by that. Yeah. And if you live by that, it's gonna create like a healthier mindset for you in general. You know, because if you're just always out there for the money, it's just, I don't know. I've been there where, you know, when I was personal training, I had a certain dollar amount that I wanted to make per week. I was like, it's all about that dollar. I want to make that certain amount every week. And when I get there, I'm going to be happy about it. Well, okay, busting my butt, working dark to dark. I made that money. And I was like, but this doesn't feel good. You know, and in that time, I look back and I'm like, you know, was I giving my best? Was I really pursuing like the excellence? Because right now I just feel exhausted. And I feel overworked, and I don't feel like I'm doing this for the right reason. And so it was like, you know, when I came over here and I started teaching classes, it was like, this made me so happy. And I was just like trying to be really good. I was trying to grow. I was trying to learn. I was trying to give back to the kids, give back to the parents, pursuing that excellence. And then pretty soon, hey, do you have spots for private lessons? Hey, like, can you do private training? Like, hey, and it just starts coming to you. But it's like about manifesting like the right mindset. You know, it's just whatever you do, whatever sport you do, whatever career you have, you know, if you're a mom, like, just pursue being excellent at it, and that happiness just finds you. So that's my take on it. Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you for all that you do. Congratulations on your success. It's been a big honor for me to watch you grow. Thank you. Over these last years. And look forward to your bright future ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And how can people find you? I'm on Instagram at Erika Wakefield with the _ at the end. Okay. And but thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for what you do for your school and for your community that you've put your heart and soul into building, because we all benefit from it. We all grow from it, and we all wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you. Thank you.